podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
All right, with Daniel for the weekend pod. Daniel, we had to enjoy United 1, Brighton 3. Bit of it. At least we get to talk about your bog standard football crisis this week, because it's not always been like that with United.
It's quite a weird thing, I think, what's going on at the moment at United, because on the one hand, you can look at that game and say, well, Brighton are a good team. Although they were missing some players. United were missing loads of players. It was after the internationals. There's not a lot of confidence knocking around. And they played some decent stuff during that game. It didn't feel like a 3-1 game, really. And then you can also say, well, Ten Hag's missing loads of players. He's had an unfortunate run of games with that going on. And yet, on the other hand, it also sort of feels like it could be spiralling.
Yeah. I'm not quite into complete doom territory yet. The way we felt when the end was near for Ollie.
It's nothing
worse
like
than
that.
Ralph Ragnick. It's nothing like that. But clearly, losing 3 games already in the Premier League season is not what United wanted. Already 9 points off the top. It looks like even qualifying for Europe will be challenging, even at this early stage of the season. And so all of that, it just feels like quite negative, but it's really, wasn't my biggest concern. And of course, Ten Hag's without a load of players. I think the biggest concern was United started the game well, Brighton adjusted, Ten Hag did nothing about it after that, except for bringing Medjbri on for Casemiro, who looks like he's still on the beach.
He aged about 2 decades in that second ban.
Incredible.
And he's he's now possibly the biggest problem in the team. And it's just very strange how it's happened. His legs just gone, because he wasn't even just good for United last season. He was great in the World Cup as well. And just after that second ban, he came back, he wasn't good. And he's been absolutely dog shit since.
Yeah.
And I feel like, United haven't had options, but if you look at where Brighton's goals were coming from, it was that area, the second and the third goal, there's that area just in front of the back four. So Martinez got made to look a knobhead, but what could he have done there? It looked like the shot was going one way. It was great from Gross to move it the other way, but if Martinez does nothing, he doesn't have to even move it the other way. He just sticks it there. It was that area that Brighton kept hitting on the counter. In the second half, it felt like someone was going to score when it was 1-0, and United were controlling more of the territory and more of the ball, but Brighton looked dangerous on the counter. And every time they were kind of attacking mainly down their left, United's right, but it was that area just on the edge of the box where it's a bit too far for the centre-backs if they're being pushed back by a striker, and Casemiro's got to be there. And you changed the formation even, 4-3-1-2, to try and block up that area. Yeah. And we still couldn't.
No, I know. It's interesting. The João Pedro goal, there's just this massive hole, this massive gaping hole where Casemiro should be and wasn't and couldn't get back. And that was really concerning. I think United tried something different. Ten Hag said beforehand they were going to play it a little differently. They had this diamond midfield. It meant they played with these 2 split strikers that could cause a lot of problems for Brighton centre-backs. And when United had to press high up the field, they pressed with 3 on 4, and they were just trying to cut off the passing lanes. And that worked well for 20 minutes. Brighton scored, adjusted, brought Luke's deal into the build-up, and United were never able to narrow the pitch in the way that they wanted to ever again through the game. And Ten Hag didn't adjust. And then Danny Welbeck dropped into midfield, and Brighton had an extra man in midfield. And it was one of those things you just thought, oh. And it doesn't mean that Ten Hag's a bad manager, or that he's never going to be a good manager, or somehow he deserves the man in waiting, or any of that kind of hyperbolic stuff. It just means on this occasion he got outthought by the opposition, and he couldn't do anything about it.
But even subsequent to that, it felt like United were well in the second half. And it didn't feel like a 3-1 game exactly on the balance of play. And sometimes in those kind of games, it can be easier to counter because then is where the space is. And United
game state matters, doesn't it? And Brighton took advantage of United having to take more risks.
And I didn't watch that think that this is dreadful. I watched it thinking that there are bits of this United have played some good stuff and there are some good players to come in, but I mean, you might say it should still be better than that, but Brighton are a good team. I mean, they beat Newcastle last week.
Legit good team. Yeah.
And similarly with Arsenal, United lost in the last kick of the game to Arsenal. And again, without loads of players, having played some good stuff in the game. So although it looks bad, just what the league table looks like, you have to think about what's gone on in the games and what the circumstances are around them, as well, because nothing happens in isolation. And they do need something good to happen quite soon, because you can feel just the weight of the fucking everything and all the total disgustingness of everything else around the club at the moment is like, I'm sure it's dragging you down. I'm sure it's dragging them down in some way. So they need some good stuff to happen. But if you look at the best stuff United have done this season and you put Shaw, Mainu, whoever's like all these amount, like you've just got so many more options about how to play in a game of football. And the fact that just we keep buying people and they're injured, I mean, it's tremendous. That it does feel like Fergie did some kind of Dorian Gray thing where we'll be good until you retire. And then after that, it'll just be hilarious forevermore. I mean,
I wish it was that simple. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's not.
But when they play well, when this team play well, they don't look that far off being a really good team.
Yeah.
And they should perhaps be doing better than they should have played better in the second half of Spurs. They should have finished it in the first half. But again, I didn't watch that game and think this team are rubbish. Didn't watch the Arsenal game and think this team are rubbish. They're going nowhere. I don't know what to do. There is that thing that when you think about the players United still need and the players that Ten Hag sport, most of whom are quite good, but it's just a total damning indictment of what he found. But
yes,
I'm not despondent that it's all on its arse. I'm concerned that some more badness and it could start getting to a point where just things spiral downwards.
Yeah.
And it keeps getting worse because the pressure increases, it gets worse, pressure increases and it gets worse. Like that. That doesn't look totally impossible, but I've seen enough good stuff from these players in the last game, in the game against Arsenal this season, last season, so that it shouldn't be dreadful. And I mean, even Højlund, the goal that was disallowed was a smart finish.
Yeah, great, very good finish. I mean, in fact, United, the positives are we got Bayern away, which is obviously going to be very tough. Although I think they've got some challenges to Bayern at the moment. Maybe not as many as United have got. And then a good run of games after that. And presumably players coming back in. Ten Hag did say that Mount and Varane are not far away. They are training again. So we should see them again soon.
No, there's no defence. There's no defence in the world that could lose players of the calibre of Shaw and Varane and it be as good. So, I mean, and it's just... And
no,
I don't want to
to
just totally make excuses to them because there's also some bullshit as well. But the lack of context that feels like people see these results that United have had and assume that they're just total dog shit. Ten Hag's a wanker and all the players are shit. And it isn't like that exactly. Like it's also that at the beginning of the season, he sort of felt like a moment for him where he's like, right, I've got a good amount of players that I like now. So he's decided that he's going to start playing a version that's closer to the style that he wants to play, those players to play. And he doesn't really want to go back on it. So he's still trying to play this, but without the players that he's bought to play it, or they're there that can help him play it, because he didn't have it before. So you do wonder if he had like a bit more of that Postecoglou pizzazz. And I talked about him on here before, like for quite some time, as someone I could see he had that kind of personality that I think translates well to somewhere where there's pressure like United, and Ten Hag doesn't exactly have it. So
he doesn't. He gets himself into trouble with his technocraticness, doesn't he?
He needs to earn it with things going well. With someone like that, the players need to see what you say, and it needs to work. And then they'll believe in you. They see themselves getting better, you getting better, and then they'll start to believe in you. And it was working like that for quite some time last season, but it feels like it's been quite a while now where you're kind of watching a game and Ten Hag does something savant, and then it changes. He had that period where it was looking like he really did understand how to change the flow of the game, and it stopped sort of around
after
February.
The Carabao Cup, yeah. Well, United haven't played well since the Carabao Cup. I mean, basically. And there are circumstances, and the injuries and suspensions and imposed suspensions are all part of that, and the uncertainty around the ownership is part of that too. I mean, you can even track the individual moments. Brighton's opening goal came down our left, their right, when Reguilon was miles out of position, or he got overloaded basically and didn't have any support. And then because Martinez tried to fill the gap, Lindelof had to shift over, and it all stemmed from there. And I don't think Shaw would have been caught like that.
Right.
He certainly would have been earlier in his career, but I don't think now.
And maybe Malaise wouldn't either, because Reguilon's been there 2 seconds, and he's a Tottenham Hotspur reject.
Yep.
What are we expecting from him? I mean, he looked good. He was good going forward in the second half.
He was. That's him all over, though. He is a good player going forward.
And I mean,
abysmal
it felt like,
defensively.
well, we had to make that change really, because with the three in front of the defence meant you're playing 2 up front. You need width from the fullbacks, which is I assume why he picked the fullbacks that he picked, the ones that meant to be able to attack. I mean, we don't actually see much toughness, much actual substance from Dalot really, but I mean.
He supposedly can attack, but it doesn't play out in the numbers for sure. So it's like it feels like no, he carries the ball quite well, and his passing's better than Wan-Bissaka's, but the rest of the game's not much there. It's,
he's not really satisfying the eye test, is he? Really, either?
No, and neither are some of the more of the important players. I mean, Højlund, I like quite a lot of what I saw today. I mean, obviously there were loud boos at Old Trafford when he was taken off. Ten Hag said afterwards that he's just not ready to play more than an hour. I think that's fair enough. It didn't feel like it met the moment, did it, with United in trouble? But if he can't play more than an hour, we don't want another injury. He can't play more than an hour.
I'm sorry, but I wonder, you might suggest that maybe he's cautious like this, but I just always think back to what Roy Keane says in the second book about Ruud, where Ruud said to him, right, he's like, aren't you playing? And Ruud said, no. And Keane's like, what are you talking about? You're fit. And he said, I'm not fit. I could manage a game, but I've got one body and I'm going to look after it. And Keane said he just thought about that and thought about the times he played injured and how he was fucked with his hip or whatever, and finished earlier than he would finish at the top, and then finished earlier than he thought he would have been. And if the manager says you're only going to play an hour, you've got to trust. I mean, if he knows that shit better than you do, it's just, I mean, having Martial to bring on is just an absolute disgrace. And that is really the problem. It sort of got spun into, why are you taking off Højlund? Which it's not that. It's why have you only got Martial to bring on? It's not his fault that is the case, because we needed so much work that a backup striker is not something that we could afford to get yet.
I remember being absolutely shocked the first time I heard some loud boos at a player at Old Trafford, and this is 30 years ago or something like that, because it didn't used to be the atmosphere that you got at Old Trafford, and the social media age seems to have spilled over into the crowd these days, and it's a more regular thing. So it was a bit of a surprise that was the initial reaction, and it's less to do with Martial and more to do with people wanting to see Højlund, I think. Although Martial still being at the club after nearly a decade says quite a lot about how United have been managed over this time. Yeah,
and it comes back to that. Yeah, it's just being shit at United puts you under such a microscope where you can see every fibre in the fabric of the shit. And so it means there's nowhere to hide. It's much harder to get rid of your shit players because so much celebration and analysis of just how shit they are is being consumed by people all the time. So it then becomes really hard to say, right, but because it's just in everyone's face how absolutely wank those guys often are. And
there's talking of pressure and scrutiny analysis, there's quite a lot of pressure on Andre Onana already. He's underwater on his post-shot expected goals. Take that all with a pinch of salt. I think it's a limited metric for goalkeepers, but it's one. He should have saved a couple of goals more than the stats would say he should have done. He's conceded a lot of goals this season. I think that's probably a lot of goals for the number of shots he's faced. It's probably to do with not having much protection in front of him at the moment.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, he should have probably saved that third one. And it wasn't the first one he's let in that you thought perhaps he should have saved that. And we haven't been going very long. And that was always the concern with him. Are you good enough at stopping the ball from going into the net? And Ederson isn't really either, but he just has to do less saving. So he has less of an opportunity to twat himself. Whereas Onana's going to be asked to do more. And that's what he's there for. I mean, I don't have a strong opinion about his goalkeeping, particularly but it was just the question that I asked because we can see that all the other stuff is brilliant, like the stuff he's able to do. So if he's a good keeper as well, he's literally be one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time. Nothing I know about him says that he's that. And I remember not particularly rating his goalkeeping when he played for Ajax, but that was quite a long time ago. So perhaps he's improved. But yeah, if you let those in, you've got to be making some brilliant saves as well to redeem yourself. I think.
Yeah, we'll see. It's a small data set right now, isn't it? So it's hard to be too harsh with the criticism.
And he's playing in a team that's not playing well. That is used to playing with a goalkeeper that doesn't do anything. So yeah, I mean, I'm not leaping to conclusions in the same way that I don't particularly like the way Martinez has started the season, but I'm not going to pretend I didn't watch him last season and be brilliant pretty consistently. So, but I would like to see some improvements from him as well, actually.
Yeah. I do wonder whether Ten Hag will keep up with this sort of diamond, because I don't think it's actually how he wants to play. And it does put a lot of pressure on the fullbacks to get forward to create any width. And it does then put pressure on the third centre-back, or Casemiro, dropping in to mop up some of that, the potential for the transitions. And it feels like, although it solves one problem, it opens up two more. So I wonder whether he'll continue with that. And the problem is, Anthony, his first choice, will not be playing for God knows.
It feels like a long time, doesn't it?
Feels like it could be a long time. Oh, I have to say, just as an aside, since I mentioned Anthony, can't say I liked Ten Hag's reaction to that very much. He was asked about Anthony. He said, he'll be in Brazil for some time. I've spoken to him. He's okay. I was like, hang on a minute. There's some other parties here that you might be wondering about whether they're okay or not.
That's a relief, I guess. But I mean, it feels like how is this being resolved in a swift manner? How are we going to swiftly find out that he's done nothing? Therefore, he can play for United. It seems unlikely. I think that there is definitely a team. You could make a team that could play a diamond out of United's squad when everyone's available. But the two problems, as you say, one is you need width from the fullbacks. And the other is men ahead of the ball. We're already easy enough to be counted on. With a diamond, that's the problem with a diamond is men ahead of the ball. And if you lose it, that's very feasible. But they're definitely going forward. If you could find a team that could play that formation really well. I mean, Ten Hag played at Utrecht with, what's his name? Amrabat on the right of it, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure that's not how he wants to play. There's a good midfield three in there of players that we could find. I don't know what it is. It's obviously Bruno. And then the problem, like dropping Casemiro because he's Casemiro is a problem. But if I didn't see an improvement in the next couple of games, I would 100% be dropping him because...
Yeah, it's a really hard one, isn't it? I mean, the way he's playing right now, you're thinking, could we offload him to a Saudi club next summer? Like, you're already thinking, like, how can you get rid of the problem? And I think he's too good a player for that to be the case, like, ongoing. Although, if his legs are gone, if he really has aged, if he's not getting it back, I don't know what's going on with that because it feels physical, not mental, then that's clearly a problem. It was interesting that it was Hannibal that came on because playing at that sort of more defensive, and then he came on in a situation where United had to push forward, so he didn't really play in a defensive role. Bruno did, actually. It was interesting that Hannibal came in, though, because he's a kind of interesting player who sort of started as a number 10, played almost all of last season at Birmingham as a straightforward number 8. And so more of a straightforward midfield player. Has a lot of tools to do that, doesn't he? Good range of passing, spiky, classic Hannibal. Scored a great goal, started a fight in a minute, got himself booked. So,
I mean, it was a big show of faith that he got brought on, I think.
With half an hour to go. Yeah.
I don't have strong opinions about Hannibal. It's just what I've been told about Hannibal. The people that told it to me know him very well. And for them to be so wrong that I was told he was a championship player. That's not my opinion, but I would have the person who was telling me, for me to challenge that would have made me feel like an idiot because they A, had spent a lot of time with Hannibal and B, spend a lot of time with footballers more generally than me. So just know more than I do. And they could say he was a championship player. For them to have got that wrong, to the extent where he's not only not a championship player, he's good enough to play for United. That just seemed unlikely for me. But it was a great goal. And Ten Hag bringing him on in that situation, brought him on ahead of Garnacho, didn't rejig a formation to get Garnacho on. I mean, maybe he's playing well in training. Maybe playing for Birmingham helped him up at a level. It's still hard to see, like, given the players that are in front of him. But because also, like, he scored that brilliant goal, but is he going to start the Burnley game? No. When's he going to get the opportunity? What's he going to have to do to not, because his place is to get in ahead of Casemiro? Or, I mean, do we know when Amrabat's fit?
No, and he wasn't clear. So, yes, I don't think we know. Came with a back issue.
Yeah.
As did Højlund.
Right. He looks
now got one. So.
And so is it Mount and Varane, are we expecting them in midweek or next weekend? Or
it didn't sound like it, but he wasn't saying it didn't sound like it. He just said they were close. So, yeah, who knows? I mean, but it seems like not far away. Yeah, it's a lot of problems to solve for sure. And Ten Hag would not be shifting to a diamond formation if he didn't have all these problems to solve at the same time. And as I said, I think it caused him other issues for United. I was concerned how little United changed when Brighton got well on top. And it's not that United didn't have chances. It was just Brighton were creating better opportunities with the shift and getting to control the game in the way that or getting more into the game the way they wanted, rather than the way that United played in that first 20 minutes where they caused Brighton all the challenges tactically. And I was kind of surprised that it took so long for Ten Hag to work that one out. That kind of worries me a little bit. And I do wonder what he's going to do against Bayern, because they do play with a hell of a lot of width. So trying to narrow it down with a diamond midfield like that isn't going to work. It's just they're just going to shift it wide. So the
problem is he just doesn't have proper players available, and it's frustrating because it feels like he's going to have to try and work this shit out now on the fly during games while really being desperate for results. And they're just like, I'm just like Lindelof. I mean, I know he wasn't dreadful against Brighton particularly, but I felt like I'm just done looking at him. And it's really like nothing personal, but like,
another person, I just hate him and his whole family.
I don't hate him, but he's just so wet.
Yeah.
And
I tell you who else is wet? Scott McTominay. I mean, he scored a bunch of goals again for Scotland in the international break. He's playing as this kind of advanced player where it brings out the only thing he's good at, which is like running ahead of the ball and shooting. And then for United in this diamond, supposedly sort of on the right of the diamond, he had 22 touches in the game. And he's like constantly hiding. Like, we've said this before. He just hides. He doesn't want the ball because he's no good with it. I thought it was dreadful. Absolutely dreadful.
Yeah.
And it's not like he was doing the thing where he got the ball and made a misplaced pass so you could go, oh, yeah, I see the thing that I can point to that's really... It's not necessarily that. I think he just hides in the passing lane all the time. He doesn't want it. So,
I mean, it's hard to understand with him because he doesn't seem like someone that would hide. And also, he doesn't seem like someone who wouldn't be able to understand the instructions and not do that he must have received. So I'm not sure which one of those it is because I don't get massive vibes from him for either of those two, but at least one of them is so. I don't know which it is. He either can't understand, doesn't get it, or he just is scared of the ball. And that just, like, both of those things seem unlikely. I don't know. But
yeah,
he doesn't, it's just there's something about Lindelof. Like McTominay is, I guess he's not, I mean, he's not wet, but then maybe like hiding from the ball is in fact wet if that's what he's doing. I don't know. And there was a point with McTominay where actually he was quite an important player for United when it was just getting to be not as bad under Ole as it had been. And I thought he was the only one that turned up in Gdansk, really. And which is why it feels like, why would he not want the ball? Because like that's the other thing he can do is he can run with the ball if you can get it to him, but he just doesn't get into positions where he can get on it very often. But again, we know he shouldn't be in the team now. He won't be in the team now. The manager doesn't want him. It's just we don't have options because
that's right. When Amrabat and Mino are fit, he'll be behind them both, I imagine, in the manager's thinking in terms of what he wants. So, in the short term, there's a lot of problems for Ten Hag to solve. I mean, he's going to get Mount and Varane back soon. He will not get Shaw and Malaise back for months. Not until
even when he's got all the players back, then working out what his best midfield is and having the balls to play it and stick with it.
That is going to be the big problem. Yeah.
That's like he's got, and the problem is, and it sounds like an absolutely nuts thing to say because Mainu is a novice, and I've hardly ever seen Amrabat play really, apart from Morocco in the World Cup. It could well be that the best midfield, right, is Amrabat, Mainu, and Bruno. Because Mount just doesn't give you enough in the midfield with Bruno. Maybe Amrabat or Mainu can do that number 6. They can cover half the pitch and Mount can change, but I'm worried about that. But I definitely know that if you've got Bruno, the best midfield can't contain Eriksen. And increasingly beginning to like if you could maybe the other midfield you could have is Amrabat, Casemiro, Bruno, where Casemiro has a bit less defensive responsibility because you've got Amrabat, and we've seen that he's quite good around the box.
Yeah,
and he's quite good around the box. So maybe that would be it. But the problem is if the best midfield is Amrabat, Mainu, and Bruno, and I think there's a chance it is that. For him to actually arrive at that and get into a position where we've lost enough games and been shit enough so that he can play that. Yeah, I think we're quite a long way away from that. Because
and I don't see it anytime soon. I mean, I do think the Casemiro Amrabat pivot will probably happen. I mean, almost certainly that's going to be what happens when Amrabat is fit. And they're kind of sharing some defensive responsibility there. Neither of them being particularly good at it, but it's like
because
maybe,
then it means,
a half plus half equals 1, doesn't it?
And then it means, I mean, I'll do fucking time if it's Bruno that ends up on the right, but it means because we don't have a right winger, it's fucking nuts, isn't it?
I was surprised it didn't happen yesterday. I don't want it to happen, but I thought it would.
He's such an arsehole. He could play on the wing for United as like a new metaphor now. It's just, but Mount can play on the right, and that's how it enables Ten Hag to get him into the team.
Yeah,
and then it gives you an extra man in build up. It would, to me, feel like if obviously you'd have Rashford and Højlund would be the other two players. Sort of feels an attacker like to me. I don't know, but I guess if you've got Casemiro and Amrabat, then Bruno's got quite a lot of scope to just go and do his shit. And maybe that would be the extra attacker. I don't know, but it feels like that would be more solid. And yeah, the appalling right wing situation is, like that. Like you stick Mount there.
It's an option. It's what Gareth Southgate did before Bukayo Saka was ready, isn't it? And it always felt like a defensive option with Mount there because he doesn't really create much, but then he doesn't create much in the centre either. So it's you use his defensive. Yeah, and he's a good trigger for the press as well. So
for Mount to succeed at United, he's going to need to improve as a player. The player that he is right this second is not good enough for what is required at United. So, and we're relying on Ten Hag improving him, but he's missed the first amount for that to be the case. I don't know. Yeah. All right. I guess that's Brighton. Oh, and Sancho.
And Sancho. We were going to have a little chat about Sancho. Man, I mean, at least it's like your bog standard player falling out with the manager type thing rather than him beating up someone, I think. But tell us what you've heard.
So what's weird about Sancho is also, like, what's your game? Like, number one, like, my first instinct would be to side with the worker over the employer, like Ten Hag's management. So I'm looking for ways that I think I could be on Sancho's side, and I don't know what's going on in his head. So that's different from me. I'm not calling Sancho any kind of dickhead at this point or anything like that. I don't know what's going on with him. So everyone's struggling with something. And so I would always try and remind myself of that when I started criticizing his behavior. It's not his actual behavior. I'm just trying to understand the motivation, because after the transfer window is closed, you cunt off your manager in public, and now you can't play when you must have known you may that there was going to be a vacancy in a position. And where did you hope to go with this? Like, you haven't got any credit in the bank. When was the last? Can you even remember how many times Jadon Sancho played really well for United? A 90-minute performance. Like,
I actually can't think of one. I can think of individual goals.
Almost never. I would say
moments.
Under Rangnick, when it was really shit.
He had a few games.
Him and Bruno were the last two to go. Yeah. It'd be really dreadful. But I don't understand what the point of what he's done is. Like, I mean, and he must have felt this point of principle very strongly. But here's what I've been told happened, and we were going to stick this on backers content for people that pay. We didn't, because it just felt a bit carping. So here it is. But so if you fancy joining us on Patreon, then do so. But this is what happened. And when I say this is what happened, obviously there's always the caveat that I might be misinformed, but you can always remember that I would not be saying it if I hadn't been told. Yeah, it's not tattle. So it does. So yeah. So what happened
just leave
was,
that up to me.
Yeah, exactly.
The tattle.
I mean, no, we all like tattle, but this isn't tattle. So what happened was they had played a match in training, and the losing team have to do 5 press-ups. Sancho does 4. So Ten Hag goes, "You've only done 4, do me 5 more." And Sancho says no. So Ten Hag sends him back to the changing room and calls him to the office. And that's literally it. And it's like, it's so, I don't get why you're talking about 1 press up, professional athlete. It's not even like 50 press ups, 100 press ups. And when you challenge the manager's authority in front of everyone with regard to 1 press up, like, I don't get it. The other thing I heard was that, one of the new arrivals was not impressed with the level of mentality of everyone he met in the squad. I mean, obviously, like, we don't need to be told that. We don't. There's like, of course he wasn't. Of course, none of them were, because it's not impressive to anyone. But
the Sancho thing fits a pattern, though, doesn't it?
Well, it's actually quite funny, because it's not the first time there's been aggravation at United over press-ups. Willie Morgan tells a story that when Wilf McGuinness was manager of United after Samat, I think they lost a game, and he calls them out on the pitch for some kind of debrief going over of some sort. And they're standing on the pitch, and Bobby Charlton's dressed in his suit, like his beige suit of the time, and he's got his hands in his pockets. And there's a fine for hands in the pockets of 10 press-ups. So Wilf makes Bobby do 10 press-ups in the mud in his suit, Bobby gets down and does them. Obviously, like sneaks off to Samat and tells Matt. And Wilf McGuinness is the ex-manager of United. Quite a few days later.
Oh man, how many press-ups can you do?
Me? What now?
Yeah,
I have not exercised in quite some time because, as I bitched earlier, I had this virus for about a month, and then I was better, but the values of my liver enzymes were still too high, and they just take time to come down. Basically, it didn't appear there was anything concerning. But I was going to Ibiza last weekend, so in order to be allowed to address Ibiza in the proper manner, I needed to get my liver enzymes to as low a level as I could. I didn't get there, as it turned out. This is a sad story. I'm choking up here as I tell it. So I haven't been exercising because I was trying to direct every ounce of chaos, of strength that my body has into trying to repair itself so that I could address Ibiza in the proper manner. But as it is,
story.
oh man, I know. So here we are.
Yeah, the dry Ibiza then.
But I did go, and I did have a great time. I did also discover some music, which I had never. If anyone, Adam Port, a DJ, we stumbled upon in DC10 and played, a really absolutely banging set that we both, my wife and I loved. Amazing.
Very good.
Yeah.
Didn't answer the question. 3 press-ups, 5, 10, 20? How many can you do without failing?
Before I got ill, I reckon I could do about 40. And now I reckon I could do probably about 20, maybe. Right. What about you? I mean, you're 6'7", so does that make it easier or harder being?
No, I'm 6'2".
Being 6'7".
Yeah, I can do quite a few. I've had a few back problems recently, so I've been taking it easy on the weights, but normally quite a lot. I can definitely get through 100, maybe with a break. So
I could definitely never do 100. But yeah, well, Sancho, there's footage on Twitter of Sancho's like in training, and the players have to do press ups, and Sancho just doesn't barely moves. But
being serious about this for a minute, I mean, whatever challenges he has in his life that gives us context we don't know. So there's always that caveat, isn't there? But the idea that you would deliberately pick this fight with no way out, because there is no way out, because the only way out for Sancho is a transfer, which ain't happening until January.
And the earliest,
really not then, because the finances involved are astronomical, or he's betting on Ten Hag getting sacked, and the club just cannot do that. They have to stick with him. So, like,
Ten Hag's nowhere near getting the sack.
Nowhere near getting sacked. So what is the route out for Jadon Sancho here? And he was apparently given, so reported by The Athletic, given the opportunity to apologise and refused to do it.
That's the part. That's what I said right from the beginning. I don't get it. I'm not even judging what he's done, although it is hard not to feel that he's also in the wrong in this situation in general. But I don't know, so I don't want to prejudge it. I'm just totally thinking about motivation. It's hard to understand what his game is here, because as you say, if you don't apologise, you're not going to play until you leave or the manager leaves, and you can't leave until for this season, probably. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, it's a shame because I'm sure he's not a dickhead, Sancho. Like, we've all been dickheads at work before, or like, I'm not gonna condemn him for this particular thing, when especially I don't know what's going on, but it feels it's really hard to understand. I'd say on the information that we have, it's very hard to understand what he's doing, or at least if this is the best way of achieving whatever he wants to achieve.
Yeah. And the thing is, the Sancho camp have been pretty leaky here. They've been talking to some of their favourite journalists, and they haven't come up with a good excuse. And you'd think that would be kind of in the public sphere, because especially if he's looking for a way out, he needs it to be known by the football community that he's not the dickhead, someone else is. Right. Because at the moment, there'll be a whole bunch of other clubs weighing his talent up and looking at the whole package and going 40 to 50 million pounds to cover United's FFP amortisation position 300 grand a week. That's hundreds of millions or 100 million in a package.
It's only Saudi that.
You cannot do that if you've got a dickhead.
Right. And I don't, it's not even that he's a dickhead. It's that whether you're temperamentally suited to elite level sport.
Yes.
It's not about dickhead or not, really, because we can all be dickheads and unreasonable in a work situation. So it's not even that. It's just, it may be that he doesn't have the temperament for what it takes to play for United. And maybe we've come to the point that case is now being proven. So, although I think United as a club generally would do very well by just having a couple of rules. No dickheads, do the right thing. Can you imagine you just followed those rules on everything? United would be in a much better position. Yeah, it's just there are certain. It just feels like what Sancho did also. Like it doesn't just make him look a particular way. It just also undermines the team.
Yeah,
and I felt that like the real final straw for me with Pogba, and I know this is why they did it. So it's like I know I'm being played, but it was that gobbing off about the team. I think it was it before Sevilla,
right?
There was some kind of leak that came from, not even a leak, it was, what's his name? Mino Raiola said something in Pogba's name before a big game that was undermining. I can't remember what it was.
Yes.
But at that point...
You mean the quarter-final against Sevilla? Yeah.
Because before that, I understand you've all got your own agendas, but at this point, you're leveraging your personal benefit and you're undermining the team and the manager to pursue your future agenda. And that isn't cool. I mean, because it's also like you're with those guys all the time. Like you're all supposed to be working towards the same thing. It's not even about money and agents or any of that shit. It's just you play with these guys every day. They're like, you're meant to be working your arse off for a common cause. You shouldn't be allowing that to be undermined by your agent to get you whatever it is, something later on. I really, that was it for me with Pogba. That was the thing that he did that really I felt like, okay, like I can't see this isn't cool now. Like that really bothered me because it's that undermining aspect. And it's just, I mean, with Sancho too, like I don't think he's probably, I like him what I've seen him just giving interviews. He seemed like an all right guy, but to call out the manager like that, it's not just about, I can understand why if you think you were wronged, you would feel that you had to put your side of it. And I totally get it. Like, I mean, we all hate to be silenced or for people to think shit about us that isn't true. So I get why he did it, but it just feels like he was probably in the wrong there.
Well, Marcus Rashford was dropped from the team, if you remember, and put on the bench for a big game for arriving late at training. And
then he got on the pitch and he scored.
And he got on the pitch, he scored, and it was all good after that. He understood where the line was. Ten Hag has been really clear in this whole situation that the club have asked him to sort out the quote-unquote no-good culture. And so he's got the backing. I mean, it's just like, it's just no way back for Sancho until he apologises and like,
he doesn't have any political capital. He doesn't have any real credit in the bank either, where you could say, well, he may be doing this or have done that. Even if he has, well, you can't, which is with Rashford, you can say. I mean, he wasn't good the other day. He wasn't good against Brighton, unfortunately.
He had some moments, didn't he?
But he's got that ability.
He missed all the chances, yeah.
The ability to go on the outside that has made him a much better player sort of got in his way because it means he can now go on the outside and slam a shot into the side netting.
Yeah, right.
He's now got that in his locker. But
talking of dickheads, did you see Mason Greenwood's return to football for Getafe?
I did
in
not.
A 3-2 win. He was involved in the winning goal. Well, I took a shot that was saved and Noah took a deflection and went for a corner. Yeah. He's back.
Well, on the subject of... Go on. No, you go.
No, I was just saying he's back. He's already getting his manager in trouble because his manager had claimed, slightly oblique way that Jude Bellingham had played a role in getting Greenwood to Spain, and Bellingham's camp made it extremely clear that that was not the case, and Borges, the Getafe manager, had to apologise publicly for it.
While we're on the subject of Mason Greenwood, I keep meaning to say this, like one of the people who properly led the fight against Mason Greenwood. I know sometimes listens to the pod, so I'm not going to mention the name because in case that's not required. But on behalf of all of us that care about this stuff, thank you so much for everything you did. We all massively appreciate that.
Let's move on to Bayern. This is going to be United's return to the Champions League.
But I am excited about this.
I mean, look, I am too. The little boy in all of us comes out. The Robin Van Persie moment. It is exciting. This is the last season of the Champions League in its current format. There are many problems with it. Of course, I don't believe, and I may be proven wrong, that the Swiss format will be better. I think it actually dilutes the group stage even more. But so we got the last season of this, got United back. We're only in the Champions League every other season, basically, on the record over the last 10 years. So we've got to take those moments, haven't we?
Yeah, Bayern Munich away. I mean, it's
again,
one of
the big
I feel
ties,
like,
isn't it?
I feel like it's like I felt about that Arsenal game. I wouldn't be surprised if it was close, but at the same time, it feels like it's a bit early for us, this game. And the thing is if everyone beats Copenhagen twice, then this will be difficult because we could easily lose in Turkey. Yeah, like we've seen better teams than this. These are the worst teams than what they got now in Turkey. Yeah. So, I mean, Galatasaray seem to have suddenly got sneakily got good. They've got some good players. So, but Bayern, I would fancy us against Bayern if we had a full team because I'd sort of fancy us against almost everyone on a good day. But
you said we could win the Champions League on the last pod, which there was an awkward silence after.
No. I the reason why I said it was just because I think that I feel like United could get themselves into a position where their best form of the season comes in the winning of the Champions League period because it's not coming. It's not going to come right now while the players aren't available, and it's going to take time. But if United have everyone available by sort of the turn of the year and they've got out the group, then they could find that they've hit a groove by that time. I don't know. I mean, it might not work out like that, but if United are playing well, they can't beat any of the teams that are in this competition because they have beaten almost all of them. It's like at least the domestic ones. So yeah, but Bayern are obviously good. They're not that good though. They're beatable, and we won't beat them.
The midfield again is going to be the place, isn't it? Because I mean, obviously Tuchel has kind of very publicly said had this kind of row with Kimmich about where he plays, but he's still playing him in midfield. And then United have got the Musiala problem to deal with. Obviously, a really high quality number 10 that is going to cause all sorts of problems in the space between midfield and the defence. I'm not exactly confident about Victor Lindelof and Casemiro dealing with that problem. And then the Harry Kane issue. He's started the season okay, hasn't he, with Bayern?
Yeah, I mean, well,
he's already.
Yeah, he loves. No one loves low hanging fruit more, and that's not an insult. Like low hanging fruit are tremendous. I mean, Ronaldo loved the low hanging fruit, also a brace against almost all the shit teams. Yeah. It's just hard to see how, without any players able to come back in, United can defend well enough to win that game. I would say. And that is a shame, but that is, I mean, if we could come out of that with a point, that would be remarkable. Not remarkable, but I mean, Ole did win in Paris with that twice.
Somehow, yeah.
The second game was a good performance. The second win, they were the better team. They earned the second win. Are we gonna? We're not having anyone we're not getting anyone back, are we? So it's going to be.
He didn't make it clear that happened, so I don't think so. So it's going to be pretty much the same. I mean, maybe we'll get surprised with one of Amrabat, Varane, Mount. Who knows?
The fact that Amrabat wasn't fit enough for the bench. None of these. And Ten Hag, he would put Varane, and if Varane was fit, he'd play him because he has done that before. But for Amrabat, because Amrabat hasn't played any football. It's not just that he's injured; it's that he's not played a game more or less. And he's had one game since their Conference League final that was in beginning of June.
Right. So yeah.
So the idea that Amrabat is ready, like he's it's not just about him getting fit. It's probably getting healthy and fit in that sense. It's probably about him building some pre-season style fitness as well. I mean, it's what a fucking disgrace that we're having this conversation, really.
United scrabbling around in the loan market to get someone who's not fit. Yeah, it does feel like a poster for the last 10 years. So which United have played half the seasons of the Champions League. So let's enjoy this moment of half of United's team being out against an imperfect Bayern.
It's just you can so picture the two, like the early goals. The United, even when United were good, they love tossing in early goals in Europe. And you can just like picture that noise when you sit there, you watch ready for the game, and it's just like going badly within like a very short period of time. It doesn't feel also like there's the confidence or the composure within the players to turn up and get a result in this game. It doesn't feel like they've got enough confidence in themselves and what they're doing because it hasn't been going well. And so it's again, this run of games has not been kind, like Tottenham away, Arsenal away, Bayern Munich away, and Brighton at home. That'd be a hard run of games if you had everyone available and you're playing well. And so it doesn't feel like they disgraced themselves in the second half at Tottenham, but otherwise it hasn't been as bad as people that haven't watched the games would like you to think it has been.
I think that's fair, but of course it's United, and so
it's still shit, obviously.
Yeah, it's losing by in details and on the margins. Then, although I don't know that we lost on the margins against Brighton, but against Arsenal it could have gone either way. Clearly, with the marginal offside call,
and they just scored in the last second.
Very marginal on the goal for Højlund's goal yesterday. Millimeters in it. We didn't ever see an overhead shot. It's not like tennis where you can call that to a millimeter. We only saw angled shots, so it could have been different. Yeah, for sure. Details matter, but the
overall not good enough.
Overall not good enough.
Overall, still, but it's not. It's not. I don't feel helpless or hopeless in the way I did when I was watching some of the other shit teams that we've had in the post-Fergie wilderness years. Trademark. I'm watching it thinking, this team is the right 11 with the right tactics and some fitness away from still being all right. The problem is that this season you don't want the season to run away with us. But I don't think it will. But as you say, the games start getting easier with Burnley.
They do.
And then you build some confidence and you get the right players in the right positions. And you'll be steamrolling everyone by December.
Let's hope so. All right. I think that's it for this week. Dan and I are going to talk about Gary Neville's comments about the Glazers and perhaps wrap in some takeover talk and all of that. For backers on patreon.com/NQATpod, where you will get at the $5, £4 tier, the extra show each week. And I've been putting the videos up sporadically, but I do plan to do this all the time. So you'll get to see us talking and Dan looking like he's in the therapist chair, leaning back and chilling out for these pods.
A parents' evening at school. I don't know. Like we used to have to go. Like in secondary school, used to have to go with my parents, and it would be like one of those things. My dad was deputy head of the school, so he wouldn't come. So it'd just be me and my mum, and we'd be on the way. I'd be like, "You might as well be pissed off with me now. Like you might as well not be talking to me now, because by the time we come out of this, you won't be talking to me." There's one in particular that my mum really wound her up, and she's never quite forgiven me for. Is my form tutor was also my Jewish studies teacher, and so you'd be waiting, we'd be sitting in front of him, and there'd be a queue behind, and he was like, "This is how Daniel sits in the class," and he very exaggeratedly goes like this, puts his feet on the desk like that, goes like this, leans back, hands behind his head, with his feet on the desk in front of all the other parents, because I don't know, I just have this, I like to be comfortable. I wasn't trying to, what I did and said many extremely disrespectful things that were deliberately disrespectful. But here I was just trying to be comfortable. But my mum was so vexed because of the spectacle of him doing this in front of a whole bunch of other parents. But this is how I sit. Yeah, I don't like not being like comfortable when I'm sitting down. And I like sitting down a lot more.
The thumping that you heard on the pod was Dan's feet going on the desk, and the ice cream truck outside is calling at me, so I'm going to get screamed at by my kids in any moment. There's something about an ice cream truck. We've got a freezer full of ice cream, but no, do they want that? No, they want that one out there. So anyway, we'll catch up with you all soon. One final announcement. Soft launch here. I haven't quite sent it around to everyone, but if you go to nqatpod.com/merch, we have a merch store, Dan. There are a few designs of mugs on there, a bucket hat, and some T-shirts. It'll be fuller in time.
The T-shirts are... Yeah, the T-shirts are our gift to the world. It's something that should be in the world and seen by as many people as possible, just to remind them. Yeah, on days like this is one where everyone should be wearing that T-shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, well, check it out. Let us know what you think. Thanks for backing us. Thanks for listening. Bye now.
Please.
All right, backers. The ice cream truck is still going outside my window, but let's get on with this.
Do you not do that thing? Do you not do the thing where you say it plays the music when it's run out of ice cream?
Yeah, right.
One of my friends got told that by his parents and bought it.
I don't think they.
I was ashamed it's run out. I can hear the music.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Not like sound like some kind of Scrooge here. I don't mind buying my kids some ice cream. That's all right.
Did I can't remember if I reported back on this about the ice cream I had in Murrayfield when United played there.
I don't think you did.
So I got a Mr. Whippy, but it was rolled in sour sugar subsequently, like sour, like raspberry sour.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't the best rendition of it. I could do a better one because I have a strong expertise in sour sweets. Like I spent like these 3 decades researching sour sweets, but it was, I'd never encountered this before. And so this was the highlight of that friendly against Leon, I would say. Although
we have some intercontinental sour sweet expeditions because sour Skittles and also sour, what are the ones with the little men?
Sour Patch.
And Sour Patch Kids are completely different in the UK and the US.
Oh, they're much better in the US, both of them.
Yeah, much better. They got a texture to them. They're sourer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they've got the first time I had sour Skittles was in the US, and they were like, they've got the sour sugar on them. They're not shiny, and they're more like grubby, and they're much better.
No question about that. It's supported by you, our listeners, through patreon.com/NQAT pod, where you can get access to our weekly ad-free bonus episode talking about football around the Premier League and Europe.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.